is Warner Brothers going to restore the Snyderverse? Well, let's talk about it. There are multiple factors and things that need to happen in order for this to be true. Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix. My name is Chris Wong. So I've been seeing some comments and some messages that were being sent to me to take a look at this. There's a headline going around from Screen Geek. Warner Bros. David Zaslav reportedly wants to restore the Snyderverse. Whoa! So the source from this article is actually coming from Geekosity and Sil Abdul. I've read the article and I heard the rumors from before, and it really comes down to these several points. The first point, which they got right, was the fact that Ben Affleck replaced Michael Keaton in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Because as you may have already known, in the Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom test screenings, Michael Keaton was going to be a part of that, part of his multi-picture contract, in which Michael Keaton is going to appear in the Flash movie, but he was also going to be in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and the Batgirl movie. And for the second point, as you already know, and the world has already known, that Batgirl has been cancelled, which means that Michael Keaton's third appearance in the DCEU is gone, leaving only his appearance in the Flash movie. They are also claiming that there is going to be reshoots for the Flash movie and additional photography, in which case they will have more scenes with Ben Affleck as Batman. And this is why they are saying that David Zaslav wants to restore the Snyderverse. Now let's take a step back for a moment and let's consider what the Snyderverse is. For a lot of people, the Snyderverse could simply just mean that the Snyderverse characters are continuing, in which case Ben Affleck would continue being Batman, Henry Cavill would continue being Superman, Gal Gadot will be Wonder Woman, Jason Momoa is Aquaman, so on and so forth. Now there are multiple factors and things that need to happen in order for us to all believe that David Zaslav is truly trying to continue with the Snyderverse characters. And if I were to take all this information and believe that the reason why they took out Michael Keaton as Batman and putting in Ben Affleck as Batman would be because David Zaslav and his team doesn't think a DCEU could sustain a 70-plus-year-old Batman, and they'd rather have Ben Affleck as Batman to secure that continuity. If Henry Cavill actually shows up at the end of the Black Adam movie, then to me that automatically means he signed a new deal, a new contract, and he's going to get his solo film as well. And if at the end of the Flash movie, Flash will end up in the current DCEU with Ben Affleck as Batman and Henry Cavill as Superman. And even if they include Ray Fisher in the Flash movie, then I think that bodes very well for his character continuing on. Then if you take that as meaning restore the Snyderverse, then you may be right. Because David Zaslav himself had said that he wants to focus on the big players. He wants to get a Superman movie, he wants to get a Batman movie, and he wants to get a Wonder Woman movie. And if we're already getting another Aquaman movie, we're gonna get a Wonder Woman movie, then we can already assume we're gonna get a Man of Steel 2 and a Ben Affleck Batman movie. And there are others like myself who would just think that restoring the Snyderverse would simply mean that Zack Snyder would come back to make Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2 and Part 3, which would close out his vision for his Justice League story and his Superman arc. But that's not to say they can't have Zack Snyder come in later on, like years from now, to actually make another Justice League movie after all these other characters get their solo outings and stories leading up to another Justice League team-up. Because you know me and everybody else, we saw Zack Snyder's Justice League and we all want to see them go up against Darkseid. But as far as we know, we don't exactly know what David Zaslav's 10-year plan is going to be. We also don't really know if he's actually contacted Zack Snyder, and according to some, he hasn't yet. But that doesn't mean they can't connect in the future. Because currently at this time, Zack Snyder is involved in many projects over on Netflix. But then if you look back at his exclusive first look deal over on Netflix, it was only for 2 years. Because according to The Hollywood Reporter, the Stone Quarry Productions, a banner run by filmmaker Zack Snyder, producing partner Deborah Snyder, and executive Wesley Collar, has signed a first look film deal with Netflix back in July of 2021. The The 2-year deal anchors the filmmaker team to the streamer for which it made Army of the Dead, a zombie heist movie that is among the most watched movies released by the digital company, and it comes just weeks after Snyder set up his next movie, sci-fi adventure tale Rebel Moon. The latter falls under the new deal. Which means it's possible by next year sometime if David Zaslav wanted to call up Zack Snyder and says, hey, buddy, do you want to make Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 after this slew of DC movies in the future? Zack Snyder could say, yeah, why not? Which could fall in line or be similar to the past in which Zack Snyder was going to make his Justice League movies after a bunch of directors were going to make those solo films for the other heroes. Which also means that Zack Snyder doesn't necessarily have to come in and just kind of overlook the whole thing. He would just have to be like the Russo brothers making the Avenger films. Zack Snyder would just be making the Justice League films. Wait a minute, didn't Zack Snyder go on national television and said, suck it, Warner Brothers? Well, have you been looking at the Warner Brothers merger right now? Because Warner Brothers, at that time when he said, suck it, Warner Brothers, was when Warner Media was still around. And Sarnoff was still there, Toby Emmerich was still there, and Walter Hamada was still in power. Well, now that most of them are gone or have lost that power, Discovery's in, David Zaslav's taking over, he's going to have a new DC Films head, he's got new chairmen for Warner Brothers, Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdi, he brought in Alan Horn as a consultant and advisor. The situation has changed. The company that Zack Snyder said suck at Warner Brothers is no longer the same Warner Brothers. And that's why I'm a little bit more hopeful, however the chances are, whether it's big or small, that there is a possibility that they could include Zack Snyder as part of their 10-year DCEU plan. Especially if they are continuing with the characters that Zack Snyder had introduced in the early DCEU days. So if you consider all that information and if everything works out with the continuation of the Snyderverse characters, and if that means restoring the Snyderverse to you, then you may be right. But if restoring the Snyderverse means that Zack Snyder will come back to make Justice League Part 2 and 3, then maybe we'll just have to wait a little bit longer. Well, what do you think? Do you think Warner Bros. Discovery will bring Zack Snyder in as part of their 10-year DCEU plan? Or do you think they're continuing the Snyderverse but without Zack Snyder? Share your thoughts in the comments down below.